right, good morning. It is 6 o'clock on May 20th, 2025. This meeting of the Board of Water Commissioners is called to order. I know for the record, this meeting is being held in person and or remotely as an alternate means of public access pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025 and all other applicable laws temporarily amending certain provisions of the open meeting law. You are hereby advised that this meeting and all communications during this meeting may be recorded by the town of Hingham in accordance with the open meeting law. If any participant wishes to record this meeting, please notify the chair at the start of the meeting in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 20F, so that the chair may inform all other participants of said recording. Is anybody recording this meeting? Seeing none, I know for the record that attending this meeting tonight are myself, William Ramsey, Chair, Board Commissioner Liz Klein, and Commissioner Julie Straley. First item on the agenda is to consider the agreement with Colonial Ford Incorporated doing business as Colonial Municipal Group for two 2025 fuel cell electric 4WD Ford Lightning vehicles for the Ware River water system. We have our Water and Sewer Superintendent, Russ Tierney, with us, as well as David Sequeira. So, Russ, why don't you start us off?
Sure. Good evening, everybody, and thanks for having us tonight. We're looking at purchasing two fully electric Ford F-150 Lightnings for the use of the new meter division that we're forming with HMLP. As part of the transition of the billing system, we need two vehicles to allow the meter employees to do their work. So they'll be changing out meters, meter reading, et cetera. Part of our agreement with Veolia when we transition is we'll still leave one meter position at Veolia because it's already been approved. It's in our budget. So what we'll do is that person will also assist. So we'll basically almost have three people doing meter, change outs and system diagnosis and things like that. We wanted the two electric vehicles because neither of these vehicles will be utilized for emergencies. So charging them overnight would not be a problem. I did have a talk with Brian, the assistant superintendent, and he asked if he could have one of them. So I will be reallocating one of them to Brian, but then repurposing his vehicle as a spare for right now, because eventually we will most likely be hiring a second meter person, but we're going to start out with only one and then potentially move to a second. So that vehicle will become a spare for wherever. Currently we have 17 assets at Ware River Water System, so having a spare is probably a good thing for us anyways, because every time one breaks, Darren and I are scrambling to see what that person's going to drive. So we'll have a spare vehicle for the entire system. Along with the cost of both of them was about $111,000, but we did apply for a grant with Mass DEP through Mass EVIP, and we were approved for $15,000 in credits, so $7,500 per truck. The other thing is charging them. Currently, we'll get the chargers that come with the vehicles, but once we have the vehicles purchased and in place, we can then apply for a grant for a charging station at the Free Street plant that we have. One thing with the grants for charging stations is they're actually awarded to a facility that can have public access, so that the public can also use them too. But because we're a secured facility, we will not be able to do that. So we may not get the grant money, but the good thing is with the rebate we're getting for the trucks, we'll more than pay for the level 2 charger that we need for those two vehicles. I talked to HMLP tonight, and Brittany told me they're like between $8,500 and $10,000 to be purchased and installed. So the $15,000 absolutely covers it. So it's a very good purchase for us. I always said from the beginning that whenever we came into these meetings and someone asked if we were going electric, I said we would when we could, and now we can. So we're going to head that way with some of our vehicles.
Russ, thank you. David, anything to add?
No, just one thing quickly is that there's Exhibit B is the Mass DEP. So once that's signed, once this is approved and then signed, we need to then submit it to Mass DEP as well. And then we'll, receive a check from them shortly after.
Great, thank you. Well, I think it's great to see Ware River moving toward electric vehicles. My compliments to you, Russ, for taking this initiative. I think it's great that we're moving in that direction. How long is it going to take to get the vehicles?
6 to 8 weeks, I think it was.
6 to 8 weeks. We did put in the contract of September 1, which they said it would be fine.
Outstanding. Julie, any questions?
Russ, you answered my question about the charging, how you plan to charge them. Tell me again, though, where you would put the chargers that would be...
So we have a pump station on Free Street.
Okay.
There's an old building there that we've been slowly working on to get it renovated and back up to livable conditions. When we took over, Aquarian had basically abandoned that building. It's a beautiful brick building.
Okay.
We had some new fascia boards and we did some work to it, so now it's watertight again. We had electricity brought back into it. So right now, it's just a storage facility right now for the meters. So we have about 3,000 meters in stock. And instead of putting them at our Fulling Mill pump station, which is overcrowded with all the stuff that we have with materials for distribution, we thought it was a better idea to put it there, and they're actually more secure there. So that will become our meter facility for just the people that work on meters.
Okay, and the power, you said, is being upgraded because.
The power's all upgraded right now.
Power source to
Yep.
run those chargers.
Yep, we have a 200 amp service was brought in by HMLP and our electrician, so that's sitting inside the building now. We're gonna work on some lights, and like I said, we're slowly putting that thing back online. We're just trying to, spend money wisely as we can to get it done.
Okay, great, thank you.
Liz, any questions?
Excellent, thank you. So these are two new vehicles, they're not replacing any current vehicles?
No, because the two employees that we're bringing on when we switch over to HMLP will be two brand-new positions.
Okay, and where's the funding coming from?
This one here is coming from capital fund for the equipment transfer from billing from Veolia to HMLP.
Okay.
So we do have some other stuff we have to purchase, so I created a capital account for these vehicles and some other equipment that we're gonna need.
Okay, and it's within the budget, it's within
Yeah,
what
we have,
budgeted for?
we have $350,000 in that budget.
Okay, great. Thank you, no other questions?
Do any members of the public have any questions or comments about this agenda item? Seeing none, I take a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement with Colonial Ford Incorporated doing business as Colonial Municipal Group for two 2025 fuel cell electric four-wheel drive Ford Lightning vehicles for the Weir River Water System in an amount not to exceed $111,795.20.
Second.
All those in favor by roll call. Liz?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. The motion carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda is the adoption of the FY26 Weir River Water System water usage rates. And Russ, you going to help us with this one here?
Yep, no problem at all. So the last time we increased rates was back in 2021 for FY22. Happy to say that again this year, we will not be increasing water usage rates. And what I mean by that is we charge a certain amount per 100 cubic feet of water by each user. That rate will maintain and stay the same for the next fiscal year. These rates were adopted back then, but like I said, we're not changing this actual rate. There were some questions concerning the tank charge. So the tank charge is not included in this at this time because we have decided to push back the tank charge to January 1st, 2026. A couple of reasons. One is we're hoping that the transition for the new billing system happens then so that we can start that right away with the monthly bills instead of quarterly bills. And onto that time, we're a little behind on some of the work we're doing, so we don't want to take too much money for upfront, and we want to make sure it all times out perfectly. Currently, right now, just for everybody's information, the finalized tank surcharge, we're finalizing the tank surcharge. We are still with that base charge of $65 a year per single-family residential. We're still working on getting them finalized for the multifamily residentials, commercial, municipal, and other buildings. It would be $16.25 a quarter, but then $5.42 a month. So again, if we can time this with our monthly billing startup, it'll be much better for the residents so they pay a smaller amount each month. We will meet with the CAB again regarding this. This is an advisory board, already knows about this charge. We discussed it at several different meetings, but we will get back together with them once we get a few more things finalized and notifications and things like that. We will follow the rules and regulations on how they're laid out and how we have to get rates approved and adopted. And what we'll do is then we'll have those public meetings and we'll also, send out some notifications and things like that. I have had two individuals in town kind of volunteer to help me out with that to make sure we get it done, and we're going to get it done, so.
Great.
Great. So bottom line up front, no increase to any water usage rates?
Water usage rates will not be increased
Not
FY
increased at all.
'26. Nope.
Excellent. And the capital surcharge you mentioned is going to be circulated, socialized through the CAB,
Correct.
come back to us, but you're anticipating maybe January of '26?
Yeah, so we should be back here with you guys sometime in November because the rules and regs is more like September, October. We kind of do the meetings, then we have a public meeting, and then we go through all that. So we'll follow that.
Excellent. So it's great that we're able to hold the line on the rates.
Yep.
Fantastic. All right, Liz, any questions?
Just about the multifamily rate, when do we think that will be confirmed?
I'm jumping right back on that now. So we took time off from doing that just to get, all of our budgets and everything else done in town meeting. So, through 3A projects, so that's all started. So now I have a little time to dig in and get that finished.
Okay.
I'll take care of that.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you for highlighting the process and reviewing this, and glad to see no increase in the short term. So residents and ratepayers can expect a notice in October. That will be the next communication.
Sometime in October, we'll have some kind of communication go out on what the rate's going to be, and then we'll have a public meeting as it's outlined in the regulations.
Okay, and obviously that's all ratepayers, Hingham.
Correct,
all-
Hingham, Holland, North
North
Cohasset.
Cohasset. Great, thank you.
Julie?
No questions, thanks.
Do any members of the public have any questions or concerns about this agenda item? Seeing none, I take a motion.
I make a motion to adopt the Weir River Water System FY26 water usage rates as presented.
Second,
Roll call vote. Julie?
Aye.
Liz?
aye.
And I'm an aye as well. The motion carries unanimously. Darren, you want to come up and join him? Next item on the agenda is the Veolia and Water Superintendent update. So, Russ, why don't you start with your update, and then we'll go to Darren, and then we'll open it up for questions.
So I just want to start this meeting off assuring the residents of Hingham, Holland, North Cohasset that the Weir River water system in no way is affected by the E. coli notice that went out by the Abington-Rockland Joint Waterworks. They had sent out a notice on Friday explaining that there was an E. coli hit, and for some reason it listed all the towns that they have some type of connection with. Like in our town, some of the houses on Abington Street, and maybe a couple of businesses on Sharp are connected to Abington-Rockland Water, Joint Waterworks because we didn't have mains at that time that extended down that far. We did make a few phone calls, and everybody between myself, Veolia, and anyone else we could drag into it, got on it fast, got it out to the public that we did not have an issue. It did kind of trickle over into the weekend. We've got a few calls over the weekend, but again, we just want to assure the residents that we are perfectly clean with any kind of bacteria. We took our testing again this week. Last week was clean, the week before was clean, so we've all had clean results since then. I have not yet spoken to Abington Rockland. I did put a call out to speak with them. I just want to make sure going forward that if this ever happens again, they at least give us a heads up the day before so that, you know, I don't get an email from Michelle saying we have E. coli in our office, in our water, question mark, and that's like, you know, I didn't want to mention the word anymore, so we're all set. I think that's about it for that. PFAS update. We remain in compliance. The EPA has sent out a letter to all of us saying that they're going to push the requirements from 2029 to 2031. They are looking at the MCLs that were proposed. There is talk that could change it slightly for better for us, a little less harsh. But again, we're going to keep it at, we have to be at a certain level by 2031. So we are still going ahead with a proposal from our engineering firm to evaluate the water treatment plant to make sure that we're ready to meet those demands and those limits by 2031. I can tell you that our system is in good shape when it comes to the way our plant treats. We never exceed a 10. Right now, the limit is a 20, and our lowest has been a 0. So we range anywhere from 0 to about 6. So that's about what we're pushing out of the plant right now. We do monitor our raw water sources every year. Once a year, we do the sampling on the raw water sources to make sure that there's no big increase in those. And one of our biggest sources of PFAS is the Acrid Pond. So we are still working on getting a brand-new line put in that's going to take water from deeper into the pond and further into the pond that is better water quality than we're pulling from right now. That RFP and proposal should be going out in the next 2 to 3 weeks, I would think. Lightnings I did, the meter system. So we did do a meter system evaluation. We are being recommended to put in a fixed network system. We have a proposal drafted for RFP and bidding, and it'll be done in 3 phases. The first phase will be the new hull pressure zone, which we'll create with the new tank and the new booster station. Then we'll move into the main pressure zone, which is most of Hingham, and then from there we'll move to the high pressure zone. If funds become available, we'll do it a little bit faster, but again, right now we're spreading out over 3 years. We want to start in Hull because that's actually the farthest reach for us to read meters, so we figured we can get that done, read those through a fixed network, and make that a lot easier for everybody that's involved because the readings will come directly to the office. And now I just lost my notes, sorry. Our PFAS, our GIS update, so we did get a GIS grant last year. Happy to report that between Apex employees and Brian, we've got about 52% of the system completed. We've cataloged about 4,061 assets. We're averaging 137 assets a day, getting them cataloged. We've done all of Hull. We've started up into Lower Hingham, Crow Point area is all done. The shipyard's done, and now we're moving up into the main part of Hingham, and then out, we'll be finished probably, we were thinking September, but the way we're looking now, we could be done by the end of July. Then Apex will take all of our points and really clean up our GIS system for the water system. I am currently, I know this is a water board meeting, but I'm also looking at a grant, hopefully for the sewer system, to get that same kind of grant to get that done. The Route 3A project, the proposal will be coming in front of the board, hopefully on June 10th. That's a proposal to design and bid the Route 3A new water main in preparation for the 3A work that's going to be done by the state. We have been told that we're doing our own permitting and own bidding now, so it's okay. We'll take care of ourselves and we'll get it done. Because to be honest with you, we'd like to get in and out of there before anyone else gets back in there, so it's just easier for us. And then finally, an update on the tank. We should have the proposal for final design and bidding. I'm hoping to have that by June 10th, but let's see how Apex continues to move that. The booster station went through the zoning board of appeals. We got our variances and waivers for that. We are meeting with Concom in June, so I'm sure that will go okay also. We are currently have an architect working on a rendition of the tank so that when we propose it and put it in front of more of the residents and customers, it'll be an actual architectural drawing of what it will look like sitting up on the hill. We are relocating the emergency services equipment that is up at Strawberry Hill right now. So the town of Hull was utilizing one of the buildings. That building happens to be right exactly where the tank is going, and it has to be demolished. So we have purchased a small shed for their equipment. It's not, don't think you're going to store your lawnmower in it, but it's insulated, it's all secured. We're going to move all of their equipment from there into this new shed, which is now located in the back corner of the lot, away from all the construction. So there'll be no interruption in emergency services for the town of Hull. And we'll have that done within the next 2 to 3 weeks. And then finally, we're working on a website page to keep updates on the tank. And I have talked to JR, and we're actually going to work on that for all of the town capital project street work, so that if people go on a website, they can see how the 3A project's progressing, how the new force main's progressing, how the tank's progressing, and they can see photos and all that. So we're working on that to get that up and running in the next couple months. And that's it from me. Darren?
Okay, didn't leave me much, Russ.
And Darren, you just state your name and
Yep,
your
good
position
evening.
in the plant. Thank you.
Darren Dearth, Project Manager for Veolia Operations. I just want to share some of the highlights of the work recently completed and the ongoing work within the Ware River water system. We've replaced 8 of the 6-inch valves that go to the Claritrac system, which is like an oversized pool vacuum. It's designed to maintain the wash water tanks that we've just cleaned at the treatment plant after filter washes. We completed 4 additional well rehabilitations. Letters have gone out for lead and copper sampling, and it is planned for the 1st to 2nd week of June. This will include all the schools in Hingham, Hull, and North Cohasset. All the annual maintenance has been done on the emergency generators before hurricane season begins. They've all been tested and are tested each week. We've completed a system-wide leak detection with follow-up scheduled to begin tomorrow, and that'll continue depending on weather as they go through with the distribution crew. Today, we just finished up, completed 8 of the 10 source water meter calibrations, the last 2 scheduled for tomorrow, before moving into the treatment plant for additional calibrations to the meters and the DP cells and the filters. And this is along with ongoing maintenance and improvements. Any questions?
Thank you, Darren. Thank you, Russ. Appreciate the overview of
Bill, I just want
operations.
to just follow up on the lead and copper sampling. So,
Of course.
Lead and copper sampling, the DP requires us to do so many schools on a rotating basis. When we first took over the system, we were very adamant about doing all the schools every round. We feel that the schools are really important in the town, the kids are really important to everybody, and we kind of went above and beyond what Mass DEP said, so we do every school. And this actually came up because a private school had a hit, which was then notified to me, and we found out that they had someone else sample it, so we now put them on our list and said, we will sample you going forward because we think our sampling, we do better, so we're gonna make sure that they're all set. The one sink that did get hit, we had them take it offline. Once we sample it this round, we'll have some more recommendations for that private school to get rid of that one sink. The whole school was fine except for one sink, so they had it shut off. But we now added that school, which is a private school, to our list, and we'll just sample in that also.
Great, thank you. I have a couple questions. I could comment and then two questions for Russ and one for Darren. So first of all, Russ, I thought you did a great job on Friday, you know, getting notification out. You responded quickly. You used available resources to get word out. While I think residents were initially concerned, I thought your great response really put people at ease. So well done, and thank you for that. I know I talked to you on Friday morning. You had a long morning, but I appreciate all you did to respond.
And I am
to
starting
that.
to be okay with Facebook. I know I was bucking it for the whole.
Well, you used Facebook, but you used other.
You guys.
You did great.
And
I
it
mean,
just,
you
it
really-
actually is a great tool for that purpose, I think.
It is, and so thank you, well done, so
Okay.
thank you, and to your team for doing that. So two questions for you, Russ. I know I talked with you earlier about using the warmer weather months to proactively get ahead of any problematic lines, right? So, you know, when the frost comes in the fall, you know, we're gonna have more breaks. More breaks cause the brown water causes, you know, pain to our residents. Any plans this summer to try to get out? I mean, I know that you have a capital improvement plan. I've looked at that. I think it's a good plan. But any way we can get proactive this summer and try to get out in front of some of these problems, knowing that some of these lines are about 100 years old?
So the thing we're doing the most right now is we're going through the entire system, and there are dead-end lines all over the place in the system. What happens is, iron and manganese will accumulate in those dead-end lines, and anytime you have any kind of break, it'll actually siphon from that dead-end line and pull all that dirt out. We had an incident in Hull where they did a fire service test, and it caused a lot of problems. We found out that there was a dead-end line there, so we're proactively working on that to actually put a flushing unit or a hydrant at the end of it. So we are looking at every single dead-end line. We actually put it on our GIS system, and we're gonna slowly start replacing anything on those lines that can help us in the future to get those lines cleaned out. On top of that, yeah, the Route 3A project's gonna take a big chunk of our capital budget money, but I am talking to Apex about, once we get the proposals for the tank and a few other things, we're gonna sit down probably in July and have a meeting about, can we go a little faster with our capital improvements and how much will it cost? And that I'll have hopefully for next fiscal year.
Great, because, you know, anything we can do now
Yeah.
is appreciated. So
The flushing hydrants will be a big thing, because there's a lot of what they call blow-off valves at the end of these streets, which are buried underground. We have to make sure that they're operable. They are really not, they're something of the past. We need to bring them up into the future where there's actually something sticking up out of the ground to utilize. And that's why we purchased 20 of these flushing hydrants. They're 2-inch flushing hydrants that I use for fire protection, but they do a really great job for small lines to flush them out. Anywhere we think we should put a regular fire hydrant, we're absolutely putting it there, so.
Excellent, great, appreciate that. And my question to you, Darren, obviously, with the warmer weather coming, July's right around the corner, we're gonna have a heat wave again. We're gonna have 3 days of over 90-degree weather like we did last summer. Have you been able to put operating procedures in place that's gonna prevent what happened last summer, so that our residents are fine, that we're not gonna have an issue? I know that was kind of a perfect storm of pressure, usage, and heat all coming at it at the same time.
Yep.
Are there protections in place where we can avoid that this summer?
100%, yep. We have new things in place, new alerts, new alarms. I have been running the plant for 28 years. I have not had that type of a perfect storm
Yeah.
issue in 28 years. So that's part of the reason why we rehab all of the wells each and every year. And also having this new intake with better quality water will help as well. I don't foresee any issues.
Awesome, great, thank you for that. You know, we're expecting a significant amount of rain on Thursday, and normally I would be disappointed with that, but knowing that, as a water commissioner, I'm kind of happy that when July comes around, we'll have extra water we can use, so coming up. All right, Julie, any questions?
I just had one quick question for you, Russ, about, you talked about final design for, I'm sorry, excuse me, you're talking about the booster station and then on to the new tank.
Both, it'll be one
Right.
design contract.
So you're going through the permitting process for the booster station right
We did
now.
that with Hull, Hingham, and now our next step will be working with Hull on the design, on the permitting for the tank.
Okay.
We've done some preliminary discussions with Hull.
Yep.
But we'll get more into it as, we got to get the booster station built first anyways.
Yep.
So we want to get that process done, the final design of that done, and we're probably going to put that out to bid and start that construction before we start the tank.
Okay, good. So Hull knows what's coming.
Hull knows what's coming.
Great, thank you.
Liz?
Excellent. And related to that, thank you for doing the website updates for the capital projects. I think that's a great way to communicate and track progress. The customer service phone lines, there was an issue today. Can you just explain kind of what happened and how that was resolved?
Yeah, they did some kind of update, and it kind of went the wrong way for a little bit, but Veolia worked on it really hard and got it back up and running within a few hours, if not less.
Okay.
It scared me at first, but it all got put back up in line, so everything's back up and running now.
Is there a backup situation? Like, what do customers do if the phone lines are down?
Well, it was the phone lines, email, everything went down. It was
Okay.
just one big glitch, and what we did is we threw out a Facebook post real fast. Unfortunately, we couldn't put out a notify because notify is hooked to CCMB.
Yeah.
We did front load the IVR, which is the phone system, so people could call in, they just couldn't get anywhere with the phone. But it was telling everyone that we had some technical issues with the phones and things, and we were working on it and to check back within an hour.
Okay.
So I saw no complaints, so I think whatever we did in the front end helped it, so.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you for dealing with that.
No problem.
You talked about PFAS, and we've talked about that many times, and it came up at town meeting. We know that's a concern of the public. And we've talked about doing a community information session, which I would still like to schedule.
I 100% agree.
Okay, and I think we should still work on the plan that we were progressing on when the requirements were 20.
Oh, we are. We definitely are.
Okay.
Because what's going to wind up happening is everybody has to meet that deadline. So if you're behind on that, you're going to run into the roadblock of there's nobody to put the stuff in, there's no equipment out there to put in.
Okay.
So we'd rather stay ahead of it than behind it, and 100%. And we're also involved in some of the money that may be getting back from some of the companies that caused this.
Yes.
So hopefully, if we get that money back, it'll help us with our financials to get things done at the plant. So.
Great. I appreciate you being aggressive about that and staying on it. We know that's a health concern and don't want to wait for the federal government
Agreed.
necessarily. Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Do any members of the public have any questions or comments about this agenda item? All right, seeing none, we move to public comment. Do any members of the public have any public comment tonight? All right, seeing none, Darren and Russ, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. Thanks for your updates.
No
Thanks for
problem
your
at
hard
all.
work.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for all you're doing.
Thank you.
With that, I would take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call vote. Liz?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. The motion carries unanimously. The select board will stand in recess until 6:30.